right, guys, welcome back.
Yeah.
EYL, this is going to be a special episode, man. A friend of ours, David Banner.
Yeah, long overdue, man.
Yeah. Before we even start, man, I want to tell you guys how inspired I am by you all and how proud I am of you all and your business acumen, not just as thought leaders, but just as Black people in the financial space, man. I'm so proud of you all to be able to mobilize people the way that you all did, the way that you market, how you all put it together, and just being all around just trailblazers in that space, man, because that was a space that was needed. To be able to see a deficit and to be able to cover that, man, like, I'm very, very proud of y'all, man.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot.
Received.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And every time we see you, it's always been good energy.
Yeah.
So, you know, definitely the feeling is mutual.
Yeah.
Feeling is mutual. So, David, somebody that when most people heard of you, it was through music, right? But I've seen you transition in multiple different genres. So from a producer to a rapper to an actor to an activist on a certain level to an entrepreneur to a variety of different things that you do. You're a renaissance man of sorts.
Thank you,
So I want to start at the beginning. Mississippi, right? At that time, to my knowledge, there wasn't a major rap artist that came out of Mississippi. Is that correct?
No, it was some major artists. There was a group called Wildlife Society. I forgot the name of the record label. The record label almost popped really big. They had, I'm trying to think of the rapper. I know y'all know his name. But they were signed to, you know how Penalty, back when I was on Penalty, when Nori was on Penalty, it was one of those labels, one of those subsidiary labels that was really, really close to popping like Penalty did. But there was a group called Wildlife Society that was on. I keep forgetting the name of the group that Hammer had, but MC Hammer had had a group that was out of Mississippi, and they had a very, very big singer. There was the female rapper out of that group, her name was Treasure. She actually ended up going solo, and she saw some success too. So it's been, you know, some groups that have been out. I think with me, it was just that I came at the right time. You know, SRC was just starting after Steve Rifkin, you know, was coming off of his Loud success. And I think it was just time, spirit, luck, you know, me being prepared and ready for the moment. And it just all came together, bro. And it was history.
Like a Pimp. That's the song.
Yes.
Were you on Lil Flip?
Yes.
That's the first time I saw it was like a Pimp, and you had like a very big entry into the rap game, right? So my question is, coming from Mississippi, where there wasn't a lot of traction, let's just say that, right? It's not like Atlanta,
right,
or New York or LA. But we always hear about like the Southern hustle as far as like the stories of people selling music out of the trunks of their CDs, stuff of that, like CDs out the trunk of their car. Was that something that you did from a grassroots level?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you all something just because you are who you are to me. So what happened was that nobody ever talks about is that we as independent artists, because we don't talk to each other as Black men, that's something that I like about our relationship, bro. I've called you before when there was something that I didn't understand and was like, bro, can you tell me what this means, bro? How do I do this? Or I'm going into the tech industry. What would you suggest that I do? We've had that conversation both in person and on the phone, right? But we don't do that as artists, bro. Like, what was happening was, if you calculate the amount of money that independent artists were making, especially in Texas and in the Bay, like, they were kicking the shit. Can I say shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you can say shit.
All right. They was kicking the shit out of major labels, bro. You got to think about like the South Park Mexicans, bro. You got to think, bro.
Slim Thug.
Yeah, Slim Thug, Lil Flip, I think did 80,000 or 120,000 or something like that, bro. Think about what E40 and Too Short and Master P and all of them people. Now put all of them people together, bro. And think about the millions. And then you got to think, that's when, you know, you was getting $10 a record, bro. You know what I'm saying? And so what they ended up doing, bro, is soaking up all of the independent artists, bro, and signing them to deals in a lot of cases, this is just my opinion, with not even the hopes of them being successful, to move us out of the way of their major artists, bro. And one of the only reasons why I didn't fail is because I produced my own music. I marketed my own music. I had enough good people around me to tell me, like, you know, and a lot of artists thought I was crazy because, you know, Universal was still taking out of my budget to, you know, get record promoters and radio promoters and video promoters. But I still, out of my own money that I made, I had my own radio promoter. I had my own video promoter because I just knew. And I went to the president of Universal one time and he told me, he was like, Banner, like, I know you're a smart guy and you're going to figure this out. And he really gave me the game. So the thing was, it was like, man, why are you double spending your money? Because I know that them folks are not going to do me right. They're not. At least they're not going to do me like I do myself.
So like an independent artist, even though you was on the label.
And every record that I didn't work, myself failed. So what would usually happen is that if you even, I don't know if people know this, but like I came into Universal with 800 spins on radio while I was sleeping in my van. I was homeless. You know, I don't know if y'all knew the story about my red van. Like I built the studio in my van.
Like an RV?
Yeah. No. It was just a regular work van. And I went and got a, what do you call those, the things that you put into the lighter? You put it into a lighter and then you plug whatever into...
Transition?
Yeah, it's like an extension cord in a sense, but it's like you're using the power from the light to get power.
So I literally, if you go back and listen to Mississippi, the album that had Like a Pimp on it, if you listen to the interludes, you can hear the people passing in the van. And one of the things that also made me popular is like if a DJ wanted to drop, I tell them to come to my van. You know, I could even do verses in my van. That's why I tell these kids, there's never no excuse. Like people in the South know this story, and I was sleeping in that van. You know.
So you was homeless.
Yes.
So how'd you link up with Little Flip? Because he was already lit at that time.
Yeah. Well, what happened is that what people don't know is that I produced Thug Holiday for Trick Daddy. So I never wanted to be a producer, but I come to find out a lot of people don't know the person who. I would never call him my stepfather, but the person who people know as my father is actually not my biological father. He raised me from when I was 3. And come to find out that my biological father played 13 instruments. With the exception of, you know, playing in the band or whatever in school, I've never been classically trained. And like, bro, I've co-produced Quincy Jones before, Maroon 5, you know, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber. Like, you know, I'm co-executive producing Jill Scott's album right now. So like, bro, like I did it all, man. You know, and that's one thing that I want to tell people that I'm learning about being a businessman. And if you all don't listen to nothing else I say, man, it's like you have to have an extraordinary team. And regardless of whether you all tried to do it or not, one of the things that is very special about you all is that y'all did it as a group. Y'all did it as a family. And that's the power of America, is family. And that's the reason why they want us in these boxes, on these computers. And that's the reason why I really think COVID happened, is that, we won't congregate with each other. True information is not just verbal. It's also a vibe. It's also getting together. It's sometimes it's envy. Sometimes it's competition. That's just being in the room competing with each other. Speaking of me and Lil Flip, bro, people used to think that me and Lil Flip was beefing because we were so competitive against each other. I remember Jim Jones was in the studio with us one time when we was doing a song it's called Talk to Me Now. It's funny. This white movie just licensed the song, and I can't wait to see an all-white movie with a song that aggressive. If the boys want war, talk to me now. If the boy want war, talk, lay it down, motherfucker, lay it down, you bitch. And I was like, to see the white boys with that record on, bro.
Yeah, bitch.
But what happened with me and Lil Flip was that I was already a popping producer, like in the hood, like all over. I mean, probably from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Florida. And so Lil Flip just told me, him being the businessman that he is, he was like, bro, you give me 2 beats, I give you a verse. And so I didn't even like the Like a Pimp beat. I'm being honest with you. It just had Pimp C. I had sampled Pimp C on the hook. And so I was like, well, I know like Lil Flip will like it because it got C on it. I'll just get Lil Flip verse and then I'll go back and make the beat again. I was popping so much and moving so much because this is something that I think that will help you guys with this show that people don't know about. I ran a 3-state distribution company out of the back of my van. I may have been the first artist to ever put a store up online. People don't know that. And
your website, you were selling stuff.
Yeah, one of my friends worked at Xerox.
Wow.
So he was in the tech before the average person was in the tech. So he set up a store for me, right? And so anywhere within a 3-state radius, if it was enough, I would actually take the CDs myself, especially if I was driving to go do beats or go to
hand
shows.
delivering them.
Yes.
Hand
Myself.
delivering them?
If it was enough. If not, then I would just send it in the mail.
You're the original Amazon Prime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's another one we not thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, I just saw something online that said that I may have been the first person to do NFTs. I don't know about that one, but I know that I was probably, if not the first one of the first people to do crowdfunding.
Okay, let's break this down.
Yeah.
Okay, NFTs. What was your involvement with that?
Well, I don't see. The thing is that when you are the first, you don't really know what you're doing.
You don't realize what you're doing.
And the thing is that I wasn't doing it to make stuff easier for other people. I was doing it because, like in my company to this day, ask any of my staff, when they come to me and ask me, is it good enough? Ask my staff, what is the first thing I tell them? I always tell them, is it good enough for Apple? Apple was always the company from their inception. That was the company that I always competed against because that shit was so clean. It was so easy.
Yeah.
How did they get their phone down to just one button? Even think about the packaging.
Store, white,
everything.
All of it, bro.
Everything.
Like if you look at my God boxes that sold, and some people said it was one of the greatest marketing. They said it was a marketing scheme. I said it wasn't a marketing scheme because I meant what I was doing. It wasn't a scheme. It was a box of consciousness. I took all the things that helped me to become conscious and I put it in a box. And what I did is I said I wanted to cater to every sense that a human being has. So the slickness of the box. Women always tell me how good I smell. Didn't you smell me, baby, when I walked in the room? I know you did. It was quite elegant. I see the way that you looking at me in the eye. Oh, no, you wasn't locked in. You smelled me, woman. But no, women would always talk about how good I smell, so I would spray my cologne in the boxes.
Yeah.
Literally, so when they open up the box, male or female, when they smelled it, when they touched it, like whether we know it or not, we represent culture. And I knew, especially during that time in music, anytime you thought of Black and independent, people would always try to make it feel like it was low quality. So I always wanted to represent us at a zenith level where people will always be proud of me. That's the reason why I'm enough of a man to come on here today and say the way that you all represent culture, it transcends just business and music. Like you all are doing something that inspire people all over the world. I'm in meetings all the time and y'all name come up.
Appreciate
that. Amen. Appreciate that. I mean, it says a lot and you use the word transcend and transition in a certain extent.
Excuse me. Hold on 1 second. Can you go back to this camera right here? Damn, I look good. I saw myself. on that screen.
Somebody called people.
Okay, go ahead.
As we were saying.
Never a dull moment.
The transition from being independent artist, signed artist, what is it like when you're trying to, I guess, infiltrate or enter a new space in terms of business? How are people viewing you when you walk into the space? Is it like, hey, this guy's an artist, he doesn't know much? You said that the head of Universal realized that you were a smart guy. But how are the other people in other forms of business looking at you? Were they looking like this is an artist who may not know, or we're not taking him serious because he doesn't come from this background?
Right. So I'll say this. I want to answer this question in a very specific way. Because I'm pretty decent with my hands. I own several firearms and I go to tactical gun training monthly. I can be a little bit more vulnerable than the average artist. And I think it's very important for us to be honest. It's really, really scary. It's scary because a lot of these spaces, unlike you guys, if anything, y'all can fail together. If anything, if something go down, it's more than just one of y'all. In most of these spaces, I'm usually the only one.
Mm-hmm.
And even more than that, and I found this out in higher education as I moved up higher and higher in education. I became not only the only Black male, but in a lot of cases, the only Black person in a lot of these spaces. You all know this because we've bumped into each other in tech spaces. That's lonely, especially not only when you're trying to navigate yourself through it, but you're trying to learn it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to continue to make hit records when none of us know the real equation to hit records. I'm trying to stay current, but then I got to learn accounting. I got to, I'm going overseas, navigating myself in spaces that I've never been before. Then, what they don't talk about is the music industry gets younger and younger while the people who own the music industry get older and older and wiser. So Master P may come up with a stellar contract that breaks down the walls, or Michael Jordan, in the case of shoes, may come up with a deal that's never been seen before, but then white folks are not gonna let that happen again.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to find another way to do it. And every time we break through, the contracts get tighter and tighter, but we're getting younger and younger and younger. And your music is becoming more disposable and more disposable. So to answer your question directly, in a lot of these spaces, bro, I don't even have anybody to go to. In acting, man, like I'm acting across from some of the greatest actors on this planet. And I just got to the point where I can call Samuel L. Jackson. And although, yeah, I'm tough from a street perspective, but I'm dealing in things and in rooms that I've never, ever experienced before. And like you say, I'm representing us, whether I want to or not.
Right.
But I'm just glad that my parents instilled something in me. And hip hop, from the standpoint of when I was growing up, was intelligent. So I always learned to study. I'll give y'all an example. My first Gatorade contract, I actually wrote the contract myself. And I wrote the contract because I went to LegalZoom. That's when LegalZoom first came out. And I downloaded every contract that had something to do with marketing, that had to do anything with commercials and music. And I studied. Watch what I did. Most lawyers charge you by what? The hour, right? Have you ever noticed in most cases, you only really spend 30 minutes, but they always charge you by the what?
The hour.
So every time I would read something in LegalZoom that I didn't understand, when my lawyer got his ass up, no, sit your ass back down. I got 30 more minutes. I got these list of questions. So after about 20 times of doing this with my lawyer, I got that shit. And it got to the point where other rappers would call me and say, hey, bro, read over my contract. I could pick out what was wrong. I didn't know how to rewrite the contract, but I could pick out what was wrong. But it was because I had the internal fortitude to study and learn on my own. I hope that answers the question.
So you got your 4 hours worth.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Did they ever get mad at you for like, yo, bro?
Yeah.
Consultation is over.
Well, no, I will tell you that come to find out, that particular lawyer that I'm talking about ended up being a thief. And but he told me to my face, he told me two things that were very powerful. Number one, when he read over the Gatorade contract, he said, I corrected a few grammatical errors in a few terms. He said, but for the most part, I can't charge you. He said, you did that. He really looked at me and was like, bro, you did that. And what he did say about me that I thought was honorable, he said, David Banner, unlike most people, you handle business the same way you are in real life. Like, one of the hardest things for me is to negotiate with producers because I'm a producer. I say this all the time. Most Black people don't want to free the slaves. They want the opportunity to hold a whip. How am I going to fuck over a young producer when I am a producer. That ain't God-like to me. You feel me?
Yeah.
So he was like, you're the same man in the contract that you are on the streets. And that's all I could ever ask in business or in life or in the spiritual realm, period.
That's integrity right there. You brought up the word loneliness when we were talking about what it's like navigating through these spaces. What we don't talk about is the mental toll that it takes when you're facing that by yourself, right? Like we're going through something. Obviously, we have each other. We have family around us. How are you navigating from a mental side? Because you're deep into consciousness. How was that for you navigating as you're trying to be strategic of where your next move's going to be?
Oh, man. It's hard for me to say because words are so powerful. I want to say something, but when you say it,
you manifest it.
You manifest it. So it's sort of hard for me understanding that. I navigated better. That's what I say. I didn't always navigate it well because in a lot of cases, we're the first people to do what we've done. Imagine how I felt in Mississippi going from being homeless. I literally went from being homeless to them announcing, David Banner has a $10 million deal in the poorest state and arguably the poorest city in America.
Jackson?
Yeah. So for me to say that, for people to say that and for me to have to navigate, not understanding taxes. Bro, it's hard to explain to people just because you're intelligent, that doesn't mean that you know everything. You're intelligent in what you're great at. I didn't know nothing about taxes. And yes, I went to school in business, but name one place that they talk about taxes in business school. I went through the whole fucking curriculum. They don't teach you that, bro. And it's a game.
Mm-hmm.
So not only, and bro, I'm glad that y'all asked me this question because I've never been able to say this before and I feel comfortable enough to talk about it here. And it also gives y'all something exclusive that I never said before. But like, bro, I'm still a black man from the streets. I still got to deal with street shit. So not only do I have to deal, excuse me, Jordan, I'm going to break it for a second. Not only do I got to deal with crackers, which is ignorant, I got to deal with niggas too. So I got to deal with racism. I got to deal with street shit. I got to deal with accountants. I got to deal with lawyers. And then a lot of times the lawyers are in cahoots with the accountants, bro. And then your family, and in the hood, everybody feels ownership that's not even fair. And none of them bought a CD. That's the crazy thing. Or listen to your music.
This is the tax they don't talk about.
Bro, and it's then watch this. Then you're blessed to accrue new information because now we're traveled. So, bro, I'm in New York and I'm in college and I'm all these different places getting knowledge of self. I learned about Buddhism. And I'm from Mississippi, a Christian. And they tell you what? You're going to hell forever, ever. So imagine having to navigate through all of those spaces 9 times out of 10 alone. I remember the women that I used to date, they used to always tell me this besides one young lady, with 2 young ladies. There was one young lady from St. Louis, from U City, and it was one young lady from here. She was from Hollis, Queens. Those were the only 2 ladies that I ever dealt with that push my activism, the activism side of me. Most women would say, you got all this money, what you worried about that for? I've always, it's funny, I was talking to my publicist team yesterday. We had a slight little tiff. And I asked them, I was like, what's the only time that I act a donkey? Tell me. The only time I ever get upset is about the liberation of black people. You ain't never had no problems with me about nothing. So if people are treating my people right, you ain't never got to worry about me. So then think about that too. Being an activist in Mississippi. Imagine hearing Brand Nubian and Sadat X, I stopped eating pork in 11th grade in Mississippi. Think of what my mom and dad, they thought about me. Oh, you ain't gonna eat these pork chops, but you ain't gonna eat, Jack.
Not going to eat.
But watch this though. I'm gonna tell y'all how much my mom and dad loved me. once they found out that I was serious about not eating pork, my whole family stopped eating pork. I didn't notice that till I was a grown man.
Turkey bacon. Mama cooked breakfast with no hog.
Yo, that was a moment.
Today was
even for us. Like I stopped too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what made you stop eating pork?
I was listening. My brother stopped listening. He was listening to Brand Nubian.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm listening to it because he's listening to it. And I was like, all right, if he's gonna stop, then I'm gonna stop. Like this is like I'm like 8, 9 years old.
Let me tell y'all what's amazing about hip hop, man. Imagine this, bro. I was actually able to tell Sadat X.
That's what.
Because like a lot of times people still look at me as David Banner. A lot of people that I look up to actually look up to me. And I never thought that would ever be the case, bro. Like I'm looking up to them and they asking me like, damn, Banner, where did you learn this? What book and how did you do this? But I was actually able to tell Sadat, like, bro, you the reason why I stopped eating pork, bro. You changed my whole life, dog. That's ill.
No, that's fire. Let me ask you this on the independent side. Snoop, I only met Snoop one time, and it was crazy because he gave a lot of game just in a very short period of time. One of the things that he said was extremely insightful. He was saying that we're talking about Beats by Dre, and you know everybody know that I think Apple bought it for $800 million, something like that. And he was like, sometimes they'll buy you to shelf you.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, Beats by Dre was lit. They had everybody. They had all the rappers. They had athletes there. You don't really see too much about Beats by Dre now. So his
Apple bought them.
Apple bought them.
Yeah.
So his thing was like, as soon as Apple buys Beats by Dre, all you hear is iPod, the AirPods. So they essentially brought the competition to kill the competition, so they could push their products, which is AirPods, as opposed to Beats by Dre.
Where have you heard that before, though?
Well, that's what I'm tying it in with the music, because like Slim Thug is my guy. Like that's a personal friend of ours. And he was saying like how he kind of regretted going to a label, because it's like the allure of a label. Like I got a deal now. I got my own label under a label. But he was like, looking back on it, it was better to just stay the independent route.
Yeah.
You think that the music business has done that? Like,
of course, that's what I was alluding to earlier. I even take it a step further. Okay, then. All right. See, y'all starting with me now. I'm trying to stay on business. All right, so peep this. Watch this. Gonna blow your mind. It's funny because I saw part of it here. What was the Virgin Megastore? That was when I knew they won. Watch this.
Times Square.
So they sucked up all of the independent artists first, gave us more money than we ever seen before. But what that is to them is a tax write-off, right? Because they make sure in most cases that we fail. And then the other rappers who were like me, unlike, you know what I'm saying, if let's say Manny Fresh decided that he wanted to leave, right? I don't have that problem because I produce also. If Baby decided to leave, then they don't have to worry about that because I run my business. I understand my business. If Wayne decided to leave, well, they rapper left. Or Juvie decided to leave, or BG decided to leave. Well, I do the rappers. I do the rapping. So what ended up happening is after they gave all this money and we thought we had all of this money, and then the first thing that you all know, I didn't understand this. What, 45% of it is gone just in taxes, right? Then you catching up for all of the borrowing that you did and not having, or getting your first house and car, getting your mom straight. What, CeeLo Green said that money be gone. So they did that. That was easy. Then watch what they did. I myself got a $70,000 check from Southwest Distribution. We didn't need the majors. We had Gonzalez. We had Southwest. We had distribution companies, real solid distribution companies. They soaked them up and bought them out. Then guess what they did? Black people learned how to get mom and pop stores. Even though a lot of them was burning CDs in the back and bootlegging, but we actually learned how to press CDs.
This is a fact.
Right?
In our own homes.
Then they sucked up the mom and pop stores. I don't know if y'all remember when they would put the feds started going to the mom and pop stores like they were selling drugs, bro. Right? So then they sucked up the mom and pop stores. Then after they sucked up the mom and pop stores, then they went for the major stores.
Sam Goody.
Bro, we at Virgin, all we gotta do is say the Virgin Mega Store. Bro, literally. And I know, Jordan, but I gotta say it. Bro, like the Virgin Megastore was one of the few times besides walking into a strip club where I think I slightly had an orgasm when I was walking to the store.
Allegedly.
Bro, one thing that people don't understand about me, bro, is I really loved hip hop. I really loved it. I really thought it was this real thing, bro. Bro, and I peeped what they did to the game, bro. And then we were okay with streaming after that. Bro, it's just like, bro, we are addicted to following our oppressors.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how they treat us, no matter how bad they do us, we run behind them, bro. I just left Forbes. And what I was telling them over there at Forbes was like, one of the sad things is that we get caught in the trends, no matter how detrimental those trends may be to us. Like, I told them there's nothing from a business standpoint that you can tell me that was positive about streaming. And you all are on your business acumen, bro, at least at y'all age, bro. I don't know too many people y'all ages that beat y'all on that side. Tell me one positive thing about streaming. I just told you I was getting $10 a CD to fractions of pennies to just allow somebody to play my music over and over again on their site. That's all streaming is. They just perpetually play your shit over and over again. And then people tap into their site. What's smart about that?
It's the psychological.
Yeah.
Even Swiss Beats has said something that was insightful also. He went to Harvard, like that program that they have. And he was like, one thing that he picked up is that in business, you don't have to give somebody ownership, but you just make them feel like they have ownership in their work. So he equated that to labels. He's like, so when they started giving everybody a label, they felt empowered because now you're under a power structure that you psychologically want to be under anyway. And you're still a worker, but you have a title of a CEO. So now everybody got a label, but nobody has distribution. Nobody has real ownership. But that's a way to keep everybody happy and satisfied.
It's so crazy, bro. I wrote this thesis paper that directly correlated and connected slavery and the plantation to record labels. You know, and through me doing my research, I found that there was something that was called yard niggas. So you look at...
That's like field?
Well, no. The field niggas are the rappers, right? The yard niggas are the A&Rs. The house niggas are the label execs, right? And so, bro, I had a partner that helped me in it, but it was genius. And I may turn it into a book one day, bro. Whether we know it or not, bro, people act just like slaves and don't know it. Like, dude, like, if you look at just getting a deal, usually when you look at getting hot in the hood as a rapper or as a beat producer, all that is accruing power, right? And what's the first thing you do when you go get power? You don't believe that you can wield that power. So you go find you a white dude to do it for you. Why couldn't a black person do it? Why couldn't you do it? Like, what is it about us that we can't create our own internet, dog? Why you can't create your own store, bro? And then as soon as we start figuring it out and be like, oh, we can do this shit. And I'll give y'all a great example, and I blow people's mind every time I tell them this. You remember when shooting a rap video was just like science? Like everybody was afraid to do it and nobody thought that it could be done. And somebody somewhere just went and got a fucking camera and shot that bitch. Everybody started shooting the music video. And it's starting to happen in movies now. Black folks are starting to say like, oh, damn, we can use this iPhone and shoot a movie and put it up on Tubi, which you can do Tubi yourself. So what ends up happening, bro, is like people won't admit that they still have slave mindsets, bro. And the crazy thing is, I tell black people this all the time, is we talk about Jesus all the time. Black folks get on their Jesus, kick Jesus. But when anybody start acting like Jesus, we usually crucify them ourselves.
Fair.
Anytime somebody say, well, I'm going to run this myself, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to Because I believe that why would God allow us to be thinking beings, thinking sentient beings, if it wasn't meant for us to challenge things? And so all of those people that ever challenged anything, they usually ended up dead or in jail.
It's a fact. Language is important, and you use the word thought when you thought hip hop was. It almost feels like you don't recognize it now. Or
no, hip hop is imperialism.
Have you fallen out of love with it a little?
I have.
Let's talk about that.
Yes, I have. But let me tell you why I think God allowed me to. So watch this. Just like they created that feeling of hip hop that made us think that it was real, we can do that on the other end of on the other end of the spectrum. Me and Jordan, that's from my publicist team, we talked about it today. Imagine if I created a company that because all you gotta do is create a company and get all our friends and I thought about that, going to get Snoop, going to get Raheem Devon, get Crit, and all us put a company together and just make the splits equitable. And then give other artists what they deserve, what we know that we want. Maybe God put us through what we're going through so we can be the person to do it. I don't think the story of Jesus was about a man coming down to bear a cross for you. I think it was about God coming in a physical form to show you how to bear your own cross. If I can come down here and be a man and do it, you can too. You remember the story of Jesus when he was walking on water and he had other people walking with him until they started doing what? Doubting. You are made out of the same stuff God is made out of. You think it, you do it. So why are we so scared? This is why it's the greatest time in history as businessmen, because you all know this. They thought we were crazy. They thought you all were crazy until you did it. Think about, bro, me doing hip hop in Mississippi, bro. They thought I was crazy till they saw like a pimp. Bro, all God has to do is give you vision. People perish because of a lack of vision. Bro, we see it. And I want to tell you all this. This is very important. You must listen to me on this, bro. Bro, we have to stop getting mad when people don't see our vision. If people see your vision, then it's general knowledge. Then you are no longer blessed. My mother always said, you are blessed. Being a visionary is a curse and a blessing. You're blessed to see other things that people can't see, but you're cursed to sit in them alone. I'm grateful for this deficit. I am grateful for this experience that we're having with Trump, because now we know that America cares nothing about the black man and woman. I was speaking at a female reproductive summit, and I think I scared a couple people, but I told them the truth. I said, the first thing that you have to understand as a black woman is they don't want you to reproduce black kids anyway. So when you're wondering why we are dying at this rate, you got to first understand that you keep going to their hospitals. You keep going to their mothers and fathers, and when they don't want you to have black children in the first place. So until you admit that, and I know it's scary, I know it's hard to digest, but until we understand that if we don't come back and save us, no one will. Ain't nobody coming out the sky. Because if the way that I think about Jesus is true, Jesus already came down and showed you what to do. What he, she, or it got to come back for, bro. That's the reason why I want to be a billionaire. Mm-hmm. Most people want to be a billionaire so they can live in abundance. I want to be a billionaire because I want to free the people. Bro, I don't want nobody to have to go to Warner Brothers no more if they don't want to. I don't want kids to ever see a time where there's not a black Superman, because they can come to a banner vision. And ain't it crazy, speaking of Superman, how are you energized by the sun and you're actually practically, you're actually a battery incarnate? When white people, their skin does what to the sun? It rejects the sun.
Burns. Yeah, it burns.
They run from the sun. How can Superman be white when his superpower is the sun and y'all can't sit out in the sun 5 minutes without dying?
Deep thought there.
Bro, no. Actually, a white scientist, I read an article, a white scientist said that. There's no way possible that Superman is white.
Knowing what you know.
Yeah.
And what you studied. We had this conversation with Will I Am. First thing we asked him was, how do you sleep knowing that, all of this? But the other, do you feel as a threat to the opposition?
All right. So I've grown spiritually where I don't hate anybody anymore. One thing that I realized is, first of all, you have to understand that these people came from Europe. They came from a cold climate where, you know, there's not many resources. There's not much time. You know, if you don't plant at the right time in the right place and harvest and collect, it's cold 7 to 8, 9 months.
So it's a scarcity mindset.
Yes. So like, it's not just that the fact that they're bigots or they're racist or they survival on this planet, period. And they are the recessive gene. So I'm not emotional about it. So what I realized is, and be honest, guys, if it was a rattlesnake over there in that corner and you went and kissed that rattlesnake and there's a rattlesnake bit you in the mouth, would you be mad?
No.
Why not?
You asked for it.
Yeah. Why would I be biting the rattlesnake?
They're rattlesnakes.
Yeah, right.
And historically, over and over again, you kiss a rattlesnake in the mouth, your ass gonna get bit, right?
Yeah.
So historically, as Black people, why we keep going over there by the rattlesnake?
Well, so that brings up a good point because you from Mississippi, so civil rights is different. We all have different struggles in America. Racism, no matter where you at, happens. But the history of the South is different from the history of the North. I was just watching the movie Till for the first time. Story of Emmett Till. If anybody hasn't seen it, should watch it. So being that you come from the South, right? You know Dr. Claude Anderson?
Yes.
So he brought up a good point where he was saying that he thought the civil rights movement was misguided because integration took out a lot of Black businesses and it gave us an illusion of inclusion.
Integration was worse than slavery.
Talk about that.
Okay. Well, if you look at slavery for what it is, we just lost a war that we didn't know that we were in. I mean, that just happens. If you really look at it for what it is, it's just, whether it would have been Native Americans, whether it would have been the Irish people, whoever it would have been, the reason why we ended up being who we were in the pecking order is because we survived. And because we are children in the sun, so we are children of the sun, so we can last in the sun, we were more durable as just human beings, period, right? So the problem is that in the mechanism of slavery, if you have the chains on, you always know that you have to escape. Integration gave us the illusion of winning. It's the same way that I feel about the devil. People get mad at me because I say, I don't believe the devil exists. I believe that white people gave you the devil so that you won't realize that you are the problem. If you always think it's something outside of yourself, you will never correct yourself. You'll always put it on an external entity. And if you really do believe in God and one God, why would you ever compare anything to the Most High? Why would you even have it in the same sentence, right? You are the problem. We are our own problems in business, in spirituality, in everything. So for me, I just realized, bro, that this is so powerful. Watch this. Y'all gonna love this. What is the name of y'all company?
Earn Your Leisure.
You gotta fucking earn it. It ain't coming from nowhere. Unless you earn it, you will never have the leisure that you are looking for. Hold on for a second. Let's pause.
This is a message brought to you by.
That was dope as fuck. I wish the dog had like the spinning numbers that be in the movies with the black and white shit. Bro, I thought about that in my head and I was like, yo, that's dope as fuck.
This is a message brought to you by. David Banner.
No, but I'm serious though, bro. I thought of I was thinking about like, damn, that's dope. Like, we have to earn our leisure. We have to earn our freedom, bro. And the thing is bro, the real truth is that we're going to have to suffer for a while. You know, if you think about most people that come to America, bro, like they'll sleep 10, 12 to a house. One person that gets successful, he'll go buy a house, bring 5 people over there.
And it's not integration. We a few blocks away from Chinatown right now. Yeah. There's no integration in Chinatown. You go to Chinatown and it's only Mandarin that's spoken, and you go to like different parts. They've integrated in the greater society of America, but they're very intentional about maintaining, and they're unapologetic. It's crazy. Indian culture. We went to London. We stayed in the W Hotel in Soho. Now, we didn't know that was Chinatown. So the Uber driver was taking us there and he was like, why are you staying in W? I'm like, it's a W. I don't know. They're like, well, only Chinese people stay there. but the W is not a Chinese hotel. So I'm like, why? Well, he's like, well, the owner of that W is Chinese. So that's not even a Chinese brand, but they when they come to London,
they know where their people are.
Know, and they don't gotta be told to do that. It's natural, right? So it's like that's something that we can't wait to go away from everything. It's like
I know some guys that are doing some work in Africa that's going to I do my research too. We're not gonna go there.
This is a message brought to you by You left me hanging.
Yeah.
I appreciate the research.
Oh no, bro.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
No, I was actually doing some similar business.
Okay.
oh, wow.
And just I was doing some similar business, and that's what I'm saying, bro. People are looking to help us. We just have to find them. We just have to travel, bro. And when you start traveling and looking, bro, I'm saying from a spiritual standpoint, what they always say, like, you take a step to God, God take a, 8, 9, 10 to you.
Yeah.
But is that marketing to, like, even with the label, right? Is that marketing where we just feel, is that white supremacy where we feel like if we get included in white power structure, that's the ultimate goal? So we'll run away from Black inclusion?
So I'll tell you something. And I hope that by me giving you this example, it'll make it a little bit clearer. So have you all ever heard in football when they say that white quarterbacks are smarter?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so white quarterbacks are not smarter. They just are not as physical as Black people are. I think it was Bill Burr. He said it, like, if a white quarterback could jump over a linebacker, he would, but he can't. A white quarterback, like, as an animal, you're going to run first. You're going to jump first. You're going to fight first. But if you can't run, you're going to have to think. So, I mean, it wasn't no need for Mike Vick to think about nothing. He would just outrun you, what animals do. You understand what I'm saying? So I think what ends up happening is because white people are not, as a whole, I'm not saying that there's not individuals, as talented as we are, they have to think of mechanisms. I watch the NBA do it all the time. Since they can't play the game no more, then they find a way to always change the rules. That's when the play-in tournaments and all that kind of stuff, because they have to find a way to be involved in the game because they can't jump.
Or coach the game.
Yeah. But even now, we're getting close, because there's no way that Mark Jackson is not coaching somewhere, bro. Come on. But for me, bro, I realize that is all well and fine, because I truly believe this, bro. I believe that a very wise man from out of Philadelphia told me this, bro. He said that all these things that are happening are just to bring us closer to God. That's all this is for, is that if we would take the lesson and earn our leisure, then at the end of the day, bro, like, with all of this stuff going on with Trump, if we would take the message that people are not going to help us, we keep looking for DEI. Like, why would you want to be around somebody that don't want to help you? I don't understand this, bro. Like, there's a restaurant in Atlanta that Tip and Ernestine, they boycotted. And I know for sure, because my ex-girlfriend spent $78,000 a year, because when she didn't want to have meetings in her office, she would go there. I know the story. She told me as much money as she spent in there, how racist those people were. I have not been in that restaurant in 10 years. I'm never going back. When people show you who they are, if a company doesn't believe that DEI is the thing that they're supposed to do because it's the right thing to do, I don't want you to do it because somebody is pressuring you. That means that we shouldn't buy them. And the thing about it is whenever you remove your money and your attention, they'll get right. My opinion.
You brought up Big Crit, and shout out to Big Crit. Historic run, man. Legendary. Felt like that was a pathway for him, and it's kind of been like a hiatus for him in music for the past few years. And you said something important. He very intentionally did that and helped you. How so?
Big Crit. When I was going through my depression, Big Crit was actually the person that told me, to look at your environment. Sometimes in a spiritual way, it's the environment also, the house that you're in. You don't know who lived in it before. You don't know if it's the people that you brought into your house, if their spirits are still lingering. Like, it's all of these things that our grandmothers understood. And it's the things that I think they were trying to hint on in Sinners, that because of conventional religion. And one thing that I hate, I just got to say this, and Jordan, I'm not going to go too far into this. But like, we always jump on these spiritual boats about what other religions do, but we have not like really made people stand on what they did to us under the guise of the conventional religions that we believe in America. If you look at the continent of Africa, it's not chopped up because of who believed in what God. It's chopped up because of the oppressors who won the wars in those places. In most cases, people were not Christian because they wanted to be Christian. It was Christian because their Christian conquerors conquered that land, or Muslim conquerors conquered that land. If they're not believing in the indigenous religion of that land, and it really wasn't a religion, it was a way of life. If you look at most African people, you look at most native people, anywhere you go, they believe that God was in everything. And if you look at the indigenous Asian people, it was very similar to African people. You understand what I'm saying, bro? Like, everywhere we go. And so we get into these religious things, bro, and not understand how we are controlled. Bro, I love the implications of Sinners. And I understood what they meant by us tapping back into what our grandmothers believed in. You know, I don't mind, you believing in the religion you believed in, but if you haven't tested it, if you haven't done the research, if you haven't translated, because they've lied about everything on this planet, bro, and how that transfers into business, I'll answer a question that you asked me earlier that I sort of got away from. I believe that the reason why Black people continue to forgive people is because Jesus looked like them. If Jesus looked like us, maybe we would forgive us. Or the Black bank that made one mistake. When the white bank make 1,000 mistakes and you forget them every day. Heinz Ketchup make...
Well, the portrayal of Jesus.
Yeah.
The white Jesus with blue eyes and blonde hair. One of the most dangerous things that's ever.
That's ever happened on this planet. I had a dude we were building out in front of a store in Atlanta. And dude said something so powerful to me, bro, that it still shakes me to this day. He said that Jesus exists whether Jesus existed or not. The most powerful person on this planet is Jesus. The most powerful book on this planet is the Bible. Whether it's right or wrong, we're not going to argue that. That's not my place. So if you believe that they hold the key to God, then you always going to forgive them.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And you always going to think they water is wetter.
Or you always going to think that they're superior.
Yeah.
It's natural. Yeah. Like I read a book one time, this guy, he was a refugee from this.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question about him real quick. Bro, he says the coldest shit in the world, right? And doesn't break face ever.
No.
He's like, bro, I just saw your mama with the principal at the school. Deal with that information.
Deal with that information. Do what you want with it.
That's him, huh?
That's him.
Bro, he just said the coldest shit and looked me in my eye and didn't break character. And usually when I say shit, I be like, that shit dope. That shit. He was like, no, they control your mind. You think they're superior.
Let's continue on.
5, 4, 3, 2.
No, but so the guy was from the Sudan, and he had never saw a white person before, ever. And till he was like 10 years old. And then like a missionary, somebody from the UN, so a white person came into his village. And he said when he saw him, the first thing that he thought of, that he had died, because he thought that this was God, Jesus. And the only reason why he thought that is because up until that point, the only portrait that he's ever seen of white people was Jesus, a white Jesus. So he automatically connected the first white person that he saw to God.
That's a bar and a half.
So imagine the grace that you're going to give somebody psychologically, right? The grace that you're going to give somebody psychologically if you think that they're God or the equivalent to God. And then imagine the disdain that you'll have for somebody who you think is the direct opposite of that.
And then the deeper part to that is even even though their book tells you his skin was like burnt copper, hair, like
hair like wool.
Yeah. That sounds like a Rastafarian to me, bro. No, I'm dead serious.
But it also shows you how powerful art is. That's what that is art, right? That's a portrait of Caesar Borgia's son. And so the art is more important than the text. Because like you said, you can read the text, but that visual painting overrides what's actually in the text.
So we play one word game. Just me and you.
Let's do it.
The Council of Nicaea.
Yes.
I can't even have that conversation. Like, that's what I'm telling you about the stuff that I learned about, bro. I can't even have these conversations with my friend or with my mother, bro. Like you just got to sit on that, bro. And that's where your relationship with God is so important, man, because, bro, my grandmother died thinking she was free. My grandmother actually died happy. And, bro, like, for me, man, like, I am so grateful that if nothing else, bro, is that I know. And I'm also grateful that people consider me. That's one thing that I can say about my relationship with hip hop that I don't know if anybody else in hip hop has. People at least consider me, bro. I don't know why. I don't know what I've done to earn that, man, but I am so grateful to God, bro. I speak this in Christian churches in Mississippi and not get strung up. And black people be like, you might not let you come back here no more, but at least you get to walk out. Like, but no, bro.
Somebody get Preacher Boy out of here.
No, but I'm serious, bro. Like black people consider me, bro. And I am so grateful, man, to be that. You know, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I try, bro, but like, I'll tell y'all something only because I'm enjoying this interview so much, bro. But like, bro, it's hard on me, bro. I done lost over $12 million, bro, because of my activism.
From opportunities.
Well, not just opportunities, bro, but you got to think, man, like, let's just be honest, bro. I get my money from Disney, bro. I get my money from PepsiCo, bro. Like, I'm just being honest with you, dog. And like, black people, for some reason, think that money comes from some imaginary place when you're an activist. It don't, bro. If it don't come from you, it don't happen. That's why, again, I'm going to sing you all's praises, bro. You all found a way to galvanize the people and make them excited about spending money with other black people. That's powerful, G. That is powerful.
How have you responded when your faith's been tested? I think that's when you really find out who you are spiritually, right? So like in the moments, especially dealing with the music industry and just dealing with life over the course of time, how has that been for you?
Okay. Ask the question in a more direct way with one sentence, because this is very important and I want to make sure that I answer it in the right way.
I'll say it like this. How about this? Have you always been this devout? Have you grown to it? And in times of questioning your faith or challenging your faith, how has that shaped who you are?
That's actually worse. No, but I got it. Man, so the amazing thing to me about God is it's sort of like your dad, bro. Like fathers, bro. Like, you think about the teachers that really loved you now that we grown. I had this new thing. You have to make a choice as a parent, and I'm not even a parent yet. Your children can like you when they're young and not respect you when they're grown, because they be like, that's some bullshit. You should have stayed on my ass. Like, or you cannot spare the rod. They said spare the rod, quicken the child to the grave, right? So your kids cannot like you when they're children and then respect you when they're grown-ups. I remember Benny the Butcher said that on my podcast. He said he went back to his hood and checked his OGs. Can I say nigga?
Yeah.
He was like, nigga, how y'all had us selling dope at 10? Y'all was supposed to be fathers, bro. How y'all let us take those penitentiary chances at 14, bro?
What was their response?
I don't know, he didn't tell me what the response was, but I thought that was so brave. He said he really went back and checked his OGs, bro. So what I'm saying is that since God loves us, sometimes I can equate my struggle to the amount of love and how much God trusts me with that mantle, bro, or with that responsibility, excuse me. So like, what I'm learning now, and this is just my opinion, y'all, faith in God is not jumping off of the mountain, because you can just be a fucking fool and jump off the mountain. Mm-hmm. The real test is you jumping off the mountain, God letting you fall face first on the concrete. And number one, you didn't understand that you survived, number one. But waiting to see if you was gonna curse his or her or its name and then give you wings to fly. Mm. That's what I'm learning, that real faith is not just jumping off the mountain. No, when stuff don't work your way, when you don't get it exactly when you want to, and then realize that if you would have got it when you wanted to, you would have wrecked it anyway.
Ready for it.
Yeah.
So what I am learning about it is to stop asking God why and ask God what.
Let me ask you
this. I just, while you said it, I mean.
But did it click?
It clicked. Because it made me think of when Lupe says struggle, another sign that God loves you.
Ooh, that's a bar.
Yeah, that's his bar.
That's a penitentiary.
Yeah.
That ain't just a bar. That's a whole penitentiary. Right. You can build a penitentiary off that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you was about to say something.
Mental health. Because you talk.
I'm a fucking wreck, dog. I know I just said I didn't want to say it. I'm a fucking wreck, dog.
You spoke about,
work in progress. Language is important.
Yeah, that's why. But I just wanted to let it go one time, bro.
Well, you spoke about depression, but there's a lot of people, especially men, right, that are going through things that they can't identify what it is.
Yeah.
And B, they're going through things and they don't know how to seek help.
Yeah.
So my question is, how did you identify you was in that place, and how did you seek the help to get out of that place?
Well, one, truthfully, I'm not a wreck, man. I'm actually very proud of the man that I'm becoming, and I am grateful also that the blessings that I did think that I wanted, bro. If I would have got them earlier, I would have messed it up, bro. Like I honestly think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on y'all's show. I really believe this. I believe, why should God bless me with the financial opulence that I believe that I deserve when I would have just gave it to them through not paying my taxes anyway? Like some things we not ready for them. Maybe God didn't bless us with them because it knew that it would be a nightmare. So that we have to be prepared to receive it. Because if not, then you're just a conduit to bless your enemy. Because they're just going to take it away from you, from not being prepared, not being well-read, not understanding accounting, not understanding taxes. All of these things, we want all of this money, bro, but we don't do the things to earn our leisure. Damn, that's dope. But what was the question more directly?
Like, how did you know you was depressed?
Okay.
And how did you seek help to get out of that depression?
So I found out from my my therapist that sometimes, not all the time, that the brain protects you from all the trauma that we've been through. And you wonder why, because this is one of the things that I tripped on, and I never said this in public either, but I'm having such a great time, bro. Y'all doing a great job. Bro, I was tripping because I was depressed, and I was like, bro, I've been in shootouts, I've been homeless and happy and all this stuff, bro. Like, why am I tripping now, bro? I got a Bentley outside. What am I tripping? Like, I'm dating models and bro, if I want to go to Japan right now, matter of fact, I knew a way if I wanted to go out of space, I can afford to go out of space, literally. Maybe not 12 times, but I can go out of space one time. I got that kind of brain, right? But what I realized is that the human brain protected us until we got in a space where we could handle it. And then the brain was like, okay, now you got a little bit of bread. Deal with that happened to you when you were 9. Deal with your mama leaving you outside, and you being adopted. This didn't happen to me, but I'm just saying. And so I just started getting to the point, man, where I think I had the mental space. When you in the streets, bro, like we was in the streets, you didn't have no time to worry because other stuff was happening daily, all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I started realizing, man, that I was in the space. I had the means to. And then the other side of this, I have talked about this in other places. I am realizing, and I'm not a therapist, so y'all go and talk to your therapist. Don't put this on David Banner. I also found that one of the things that we think is depression, that's not always depression is us breaking the programming. Like, bro, we have been lied to, not just by white people, not just by America, but by our parents who was giving us the best stuff that they possibly could. But a lot of that stuff is lies, bro. And so a lot of times, bro, if you have been, and I talked about this today, movies and television are what? Television programming.
Yeah.
We are being programmed every day. And this is one thing that as much knowledge of self, as much social and financial literacy that you all may be giving people, you can't beat Fox Network. Not yet. We on our way. But they're getting programmed. They're getting told that Christopher Columbus discovered America. That's a damn lie. So a lot of times, bro, we are breaking. It's actually what we feel is depression is actually us healing. The same way I realize when I fast, a lot of the times when I think I need to go eat, it's actually the impurities coming out of my body. I don't need to put any more in there. I just need to wait for a minute. So I started realizing, man, that, I had to break myself. I had to allow the Most High to totally run his, her, or its course with me, bro. And that I'm all right. And that you all are doing a good job, bro. Just for us to wake up every day and get at it again. Y'all doing a good job. You know what I'm saying? Sweetie, as much as you peek over here and look at me because I do smell good and that I'm handsome, the fact that you can restrain yourself and not no, I'm just joking. That might be somebody's girlfriend. I'm just joking. But no, like we are surviving, man. And to be honest with you, bro, I don't know how I made it through. I had a assistant once. He told me, he said, David, if I knew for a fact that I could make it and all of my dreams could come true, but I had to go through what you went through, he said I wouldn't do it. Bro, I've been through it, dog. But I'm here, bro. Bro, I look better than I did when I was 27 years old, bro. I am stronger than I've ever been in my life. Bro, I'm making so much fucking money, dog. Like, it's coming to me, bro. And it's so crazy, bro, because a lot of people about finances and opulence and say that it's evil. It is not, bro. It is what you allow it to be. And bro, when I started vibrating on the right level, getting around the right people, reading the right information, and I just want to say this, I don't know if you all disagree with me or not, but as I'm moving to that next level of life, most people who deal in money at the level that we're dealing with now, then people will never give you the secrets, the real secrets to allow you to be their competition. They won't. If you look at most of the financial books, it's usually never written by the person that's on the cover. They will give you enough to be successful so you can continue reading their books and consuming their information. But the real truth, bro, you got to get around people that know stuff. Or you got to try and fail over and over again until you can piece the equation together, bro. That's what I'm learning, bro. You got to get out there and make them mistakes or go and find people. Bro, I invested in a cold fusion company. And my friends was like, what the fuck? What you know about cold fusion? Nothing. But that did buy me the opportunity to get into our generation's Einstein. I met that guy. The people that I was around. And I'll tell you all this too. A lot of times, because people will never tell you all this, when you're dealing with people who are in money at that level, they're usually going to try to make you do something, to sacrifice something, to make sure that you're worthy of being around them, bro. It's like, dude told me, he was like, bro, you got to get a ticket to Australia if you want this opportunity. And it's like a 14-day turnaround. I had never been to Australia before. I was straight out the hood, bro. I can't lie, I was scared. I ain't know nobody over there. But what made me do it was I had thrown that amount of money that they were asking for the initial investment. Bro, I had thrown that in the club in Magic City in Atlanta. And bro, sure enough, as soon as I made that sacrifice, bro, they opened up. That's where I learned about the law of attraction. That's where I learned, bro, like them people, if you vibrate on the right level, you walk into, like, let's say if I brought you, they know how, they know that I know how they are about the circle, right? And they'll come over there and they'll ask you, they'll be like, what you do for a living? You know, I own a company, they earn your leisure. We're trying to, you know, this, that. They'll be like, all right. Next thing you know, they'll hand you a phone. And it'll be the CEO of the biggest company in the world. And what they told me is that they don't want it back from me. They get it back from the universe. If you're a right person. Like the only thing they didn't like about me was my music. It's like, you gotta stop doing that music. It's negative. Like, we don't really do negative, but you so special. And they were the ones that taught me that I came back to America and started doing my black friends the way that they taught me. Like, bro, if you writing a movie, I got a house in Mississippi that I never go to, bro. Why don't you go down there and just go down there and write your movie. Here go my keys. The only thing I ask is whatever money that you was gonna pay to rent a car or whatever, get at to this organization. That's the type of people that I started being around, bro. Mm-hmm. And when I started living that kind of life, bro, money and opportunity just came to me.
That's powerful. We got to meet them.
Yeah.
Then got to meet
them. They hard to meet. But let me tell you one other thing that they do that I think is dope. Bro, they'll get together and we don't think like this. They'll all get together and be like, yo, let's go to Europe. And they'll be like, bet. All right, man, what you would have paid for the W, let's all put our money together and rent a castle. That's the kind of shit and it's genius. And in actuality, when you really look at it and put it together, the castle will probably end up being cheaper if it's 12 of us.
Yeah. Facts.
And when we balling in the castle, bro.
Facts.
Yeah, but we want to keep it to ourselves, and that's slavery.
Stunting is a habit.
Get like me.
Well, there is one book.
Okay.
That kind of debunks what you just said. Mm-hmm. You Deserve to Be Rich, written by Troy Millings and Rashad Bilal. New York Times bestseller. For the record.
You
go and buy it.
Be rich. Boys buyers.
Yeah.
For sure.
But y'all the one that's doing it though.
Yeah.
So you all are the exception to the rule, and that's the only reason why I'm here.
It's love, my brother.
I appreciate you. David Banner, ladies and gentlemen, always a pleasure every time we get to chop it up. Man, we got to speak more often, man.
Bro, this is special. I can't wait to see this. All right. Ask one more question before we leave. One more. Because I don't, it's something that I'm missing. I feel like I'm missing.
Well, I was trying to get the crit story out. We kind of went around it.
We really didn't answer none of the questions. But to be honest with you.
And I brought it back up because we were having the conversation before we started. Yeah. And I was like, stop. I want the people to hear that because it was important for a couple of reasons. Number one, brotherhood. But the other one was introspection and retrospect. Like, I'm looking at this differently because a contemporary has showed me something I didn't know.
Well, bro, I honestly think that Crit is one of the dopest artists on this planet. And I've told him this to his face, so I can say it on camera. I had to tell Crit that you are a generational talent. You know, he reminds me of B.B. King. He reminds me of just them artists that take a minute, bro. You know, but they're gonna be here for the rest of their life. If Crit chose to rap at 80, I think he would be just fine, bro. And so I told Crit, man, like, you gotta stop competing, bro. You ain't gotta compete with them. They are not you. They'll have this moment. Think about all those artists that were so much more successful than me when I came out, but they couldn't give away an album. They would pay y'all to get on here and couldn't get on here, bro. And so that's the type of artist that Crit is. And so me and Crit talk a lot, bro. And Crit told me, he was like, I'll tell you the most important thing he told me. And I didn't even know that Crit thought about me this way. Crit was like, Banner, no matter what you do, you are a threat to America. He said, whether you were revolutionary or not, whether you spoke your mind or not, you are 6'2", articulate, thoughtful black man. That's a problem, you know? And when I was going through my depression, Crit was the one that told me that I probably need to move out of my house. I probably would have still been in that house depressed. He said, like, bro, like, it was a big house, bro, like a big, beautiful house. And he was like, bro, you don't know what spirits are in there, and it may be the house. And I think he was right, because I went back to the house after I moved out of it, bro. This house is clearly some people's dream house, bro. It was in the North Georgia mountains, and it was on top of the mountain, bro. And I've never seen this nowhere in the world I've gone. In the morning, right at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, when the sun hits the top of the mountains, the whole sky turns red, dog, like it's Mars or something. Such a beautiful house. And it just spiritually wasn't right. And Crit was like, bro, you may have to get out of that house. And I moved out of that house because of Crit. And between, some of the stuff Crit said, my mentor, and the stories I've told about Method Man, bro. And I'd like to give a shout out to Styles P.
SP.
I'd like to give a shout out to Jazzy Jeff. Jazzy Jeff brought me to his house, y'all. I told him to his face, I ain't doing no fucking music. I ain't no artist no more. I'm a fucking actor. I ain't doing no verses. I ain't doing no beats. And he just looked at me and was like, yeah, I ended up doing 2 verses, a beat. But Jazzy told me something that was so dope. He said, Banner, music hasn't done anything but bless you. Now, the business of music is something.
Well, let me
different.
ask you this before, because I know you got to go, but my last question is sinners. You talked about sinners. One of the underlying themes in that, to me at least, was that the music attracted the devil.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why his father didn't want him to play music.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the music, especially the music that we're listening to now, is a gateway to negativity, devil activity, or like you think that is a light for that?
But bro, it wasn't. But see, that's the thing about it. It wasn't the type of music he was doing, because if you look at the dance when everybody came together, it was all types of music.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just rap music. It was the Native American music. It was all of these different types of music. So what it is that, first of all, people forget, if the devil existed in the way that they say that it did, what was the devil?
In that movie?
No, in general.
Oh, a
It was
fallen
the angel of what?
music.
Of music.
Exactly. So that's, some people could say like that music is the...
So not that music. It's music in general. And the fact that, in actuality, bro, I don't like saying this a lot, but I will, only because you asked me, bro. If you go back and research music was never meant for public consumption. Music was meant for spiritual, for communication during times of war. It was spiritual, and I have a friend who actually is a chiropractor, and he can manipulate your bones by using certain frequencies. So what we got to understand, bro, we don't even know, because we don't study, bro, the frequencies that we're dealing with a lot of times, bro, and what it actually does to the human body, right? So I think when it came to sinners, bro, it wasn't the type of music that we do, because honestly, we are at war. And this is war music. The problem that I have with music is music was supposed to represent the time that we in. Like during the time when Bad Boy and stuff was out, we were the first generation in America in recent times that had disposable money. We was that first generation. Our parents got the jobs, but they really hadn't got the residual effects of that bread yet. So Bad Boy at the time was necessary. NWA saying fuck the police. Nobody else had ever done that. We needed that at the time. Mm-hmm. But when you see it being commercialized and it being used by the same system that it was meant to fight,
right,
and it was mechanized, I honestly think, and I don't say this much, that music is actually, bro, the right hand of the government now, bro. If you really think about it, bro, like 90%, if you really look at it from, because I know that you are men of numbers, right? Bro, niggas and bitches, well, let's say niggas and bitches are probably, no, this is important. This is important. You heard all this? No, seriously. Niggas and bitches are only about, at the most, 10 to 20% of our culture. Right. Let's think about it, seriously. Mm-hmm. Right? But we talk about that form of people 90% of the time in our music.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So the problem isn't that, it's the fact that it's being weaponized. And then the fact that people see that we can make money off of the weaponization of our music, they're gonna go get the bread, bro.
That's what I saw. Yeah. So when I saw Preach Boy, this is the specific scene when they're like, just give us him and we'll leave everybody else. because he had the purest form of music, even though it was perceived as secular to his parents. It was the purest form.
Hold on 1 second. And Jordan, just so you know, they're not worried about me saying niggas and bitches. They're worried about me saying cracker. So you ain't got to worry about it.
Who's that?
No, just people in general.
Oh, okay.
We can call ourselves niggas and bitches.
Yeah.
They're not worried about that.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it when I say niggas and bitches.
Yeah, which is why at the end, in that scene where Michael B. Jordan's in the Coogee, right? And it was very intentional how he was styled. It was like, oh, they've got it. They took it from us. Right? Because I left him alone. He's still pure, but he's been dumbed down now he's just doing nightclubs. Right, which isn't the most popular form, but the guy wearing the Coogee, it's in hip hop.
Well, watch this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Where I didn't see that, but I did see what do you call the things in the movies where you give away the secrets? What do you call those? Come on, bro, help me. The little special things that's in movies that's hidden. The little Easter
eggs, okay.
Bro, they said something that was so dope that I didn't realize, which makes your theory probably right. They said if you look in the mirror on that scene, his reflection was gone too.
Whose reflection?
Preacher Boy.
Preacher Boy.
Because you remember it was him, the white girl, and Preacher Boy.
Yeah.
And they were sitting in front of the big long mirror in front of the bar, right?
Yeah.
If you look, everybody's.
Right.
But what they say happened was that you remember the scene after that? We giving away the movie. But
go see it, but yeah.
But you remember when he was in the church, you saw that?
Yeah.
If you remember, he looked up. And they were saying that it was a spirit, it was a spirit in the sky, and that was when he gave his spirit away. But what I'm saying is that either way, what I'll tell you is that that same music that we're talking about can be what leads us to revolution.
Can be helpful.
Yeah.
It can be what leads somebody to God. That's all that they were saying. They want you so we can use your music for what we want to use it for.
Right.
And so it's powerful within itself. That's the same way that, and I'm glad that we can end it like this.
Yeah.
I believe it's the same thing with money. Money is it negative? It's the spirit in which you put into it and how you get it. It's a frequency. It's a currency. You know? And you have to earn your leisure.
Amen.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Amen.
Another legendary episode. David.
I'm so proud of y'all, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for rocking with us. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.